Be me. My life measured out in coffee spoons and TPS reports. Spend 8 hours a day in a building that always smells faintly of burnt popcorn and industrial carpet cleaner. It's not a bad gig, pays the bills, lets me afford my hobbies. The work itself is just moving numbers from one spreadsheet to another. The people make it bearable, or at least they used to. Our department was a decent mix of people. A handful of us guys, a slightly larger group of women. For the most part, everyone got along. Callahan is the office vet. Probably been here since they were using stone tablets. He tells the worst jokes you've ever heard, but he knows every single system inside and out. If the network crashes, he's the guy who can actually fix it. The rest of us guys are just regular dudes. We talk about sports, video games, what we did over the weekend, the usual stuff. We're not a boys' club or anything. We just have common interests. The women in the office were cool too, for the most part. Livia is quiet, super smart, always has her headphones on but will give you a smile if you catch her eye. Jada is more outgoing, organizes the office potlucks and birthday card signings. And then there's Veronica. Veronica is our team lead. She was always a little intense, ambitious, the kind of person who uses corporate buzzwords in casual conversation. But she was fine. A bit of a try-hard, but competent enough. The atmosphere was pretty relaxed. We'd joke around near the coffee machine. If someone was struggling with a task, one of us would wander over and offer a hand. I remember a few weeks back, Livia was about to tear her hair out over an Excel formula. She was muttering to herself, clicking her mouse like she was trying to send it to the shadow realm. I walked over, saw she was wrestling with a lookup that wasn't pulling the right data, pointed out a tiny error in her table array reference, a single misplaced character. Her face lit up with relief. She said thanks, that I'd saved her hours of frustration. I just said no problem and went back to my desk. That was it. A normal human interaction, a colleague helping another colleague. That was the kind of place it was. The shift was subtle at first. Veronica went away for some kind of leadership summit for a couple of days. When she came back, something was different. It was like she'd been reprogrammed. Her email signature changed. It now included her pronouns and a link to an article about allyship in the modern workplace. Okay, whatever. Corporate virtue signaling. I'd seen it before. Then she started using new words. We need to address the emotional labor in this department. Let's circle back and unpack that comment. We all kind of rolled our eyes when she wasn't looking. The real change started about a month ago. It was a Tuesday morning, I think. Callahan was by the water cooler telling another one of his groan-worthy jokes. It was something about a pirate walking into a bar with a ship's wheel attached to his belt buckle. The punchline was, "R, it's driving me nuts." A couple of us chuckled politely. It's Callahan. It's what he does. Veronica walked past, and her face was like thunder. She didn't say anything, just gave us this look of pure disgust and walked to her desk. We all just kind of exchanged confused glances. Later that day, an email went out. Mandatory department meeting. Subject: fostering a more inclusive and respectful workplace culture. My stomach sank. I knew exactly what this was going to be. We all file into the main conference room, the one with the flickering fluorescent light that gives everyone a headache. Veronica is standing at the front, next to a projector screen displaying the title of her presentation. Livia and Jada are sitting in the front row, looking at her with these expressions of complete admiration, like they were watching a TED Talk. The rest of us, the guys, we all found seats in the back, a silent, unspoken agreement to stick together. Veronica starts talking. Her voice has this strained, sanctimonious tone, the voice of someone who has discovered the truth and is deeply disappointed that the rest of us are still living in darkness. She says she's been doing a lot of thinking since her leadership summit, that she's realized our department has a culture problem. She says there are systemic issues and patterns of behavior that make it an unwelcoming environment for women. I look around at the other guys. Everyone has the same blank, slightly stunned expression. We're a boring data entry department, not some high-pressure Wall Street firm. Then she starts listing her grievances, and she uses specific examples. For instance, the constant exclusionary humor that takes place. She looks directly at Callahan. Jokes that rely on old-fashioned, male-centric frames of reference create an in-group that implicitly excludes others. Callahan looks like he's been slapped. The man is 60 years old. He's been telling the same bad jokes since the Nixon administration. He's not trying to create an exclusionary framework. He just thinks pirates are funny. Veronica isn't finished. Then there's the issue of unsolicited help and mansplaining. My blood runs cold. I know what's coming next. Just recently, I observed a male colleague intervening in a female colleague's work, under the assumption that she was incapable of solving the problem herself. She doesn't say my name, but she glances in my direction. Livia, sitting in the front, refuses to make eye contact with me. I can't believe it. The Excel thing. I was just being helpful. She was clearly frustrated. She thanked me. Now it's being presented as some kind of patriarchal power play. My mind is reeling. I'm trying to process the sheer absurdity of it. She goes on. Small talk about sports is reinforcing male conversational dominance. Holding a door open is an act of benevolent sexism, which implies women are weak. Even complimenting a colleague on a well-written report is suspect, as it could be a microaggression, depending on the power dynamics at play. It's a minefield. Every single normal, polite human interaction we've ever had is being recast as a form of low-key oppression. One of the younger guys, a new hire in the department, tries to speak up. He's a good kid, maybe 22. He says something like, "I'm not sure that's fair. I think we all just try to be friendly and help each other out." Veronica cuts him off immediately. She tells him that his comment comes from a place of privilege and that he can't see the systemic issues because he's part of the group that benefits from them. She says his refusal to listen to women's lived experiences is part of the problem. The kid just shrinks in his chair, his face bright red. He doesn't say another word. That's when the rest of us knew. There's no point in arguing. The verdict is already in. We're guilty. Veronica clicks to her final slide. It's titled New Departmental Communication Protocols. This is where she lays down the law. Rule number 1. All communication between colleagues must be strictly work-related. No more personal conversations or small talk. Rule number 2. All work-related requests, no matter how small, must be submitted via email or the official project management software. This is to create a paper trail and ensure accountability. Rule number 3. Do not offer help to a colleague unless they have explicitly requested it in writing. Rule number 4. Maintain professional distance at all times. The office is a place of work, not a social club. She looks out at all of us, a smug, satisfied smile on her face. Livia and Jada are nodding enthusiastically. This will ensure that our department becomes a truly safe, respectful, and productive environment for everyone, she concludes. The meeting ends. We all file out in complete silence. The air in the office is thick with resentment and confusion. The women, at least Veronica's little clique, look triumphant, like they've just won a major victory. The rest of us guys kind of drift towards the break room, needing a moment to process what the hell just happened. We're all just standing there, not really saying anything. One guy is just shaking his head, muttering unbelievable, over and over. Another one looks like he wants to punch a wall. I just feel tired, defeated. It feels like we've been accused of a crime we didn't commit and sentenced without a trial. Then Callahan speaks. His voice is low and steady. All the usual humor is gone. "All right," he says. "Let's talk." We find an empty conference room at the end of the hall and close the door. The younger guy who tried to argue is fuming. "We should go to Gideon," he says, talking about our department head. "This is insane. She can't do this." Callahan shakes his head slowly. "And what do you think Gideon will do?" he asks. "He's the boss. He doesn't care about office politics. He cares about productivity and not getting sued." He explains that if we go to Gideon, it'll look like a bunch of guys ganging up on a female team lead who is just trying to implement official company policy from her DEI training. We'll be labeled as resistant to change. Problem employees. HR will get involved. It'll be a whole investigation. And guess who they'll believe? He lets that sink in. He's right. We all know he's right. In the current corporate climate, we'd be toast. Our careers in this company would be over. We'd be the guys who got written up by HR for creating a hostile work environment because we complained about being told not to tell jokes. The despair in the room is palpable. We're trapped. "So what do we do?" someone asks. "Just take it? Live like this?" "No," Callahan says, a strange, grim look in his eyes. "We don't fight it. We embrace it." We all look at him, confused. She wants a professional, work-only environment. She wants every request in writing. She wants us to maintain professional distance. He looks around at each of us. We're going to give it to her. We are going to become the most ruthlessly efficient, professional, non-social employees this company has ever seen. He lays out the strategy. It's simple. It's beautiful. It's called malicious compliance. From this moment on, we follow her new rules to the absolute letter. No good morning. No, how was your weekend? No eye contact in the hallway. A female colleague asks you a question? You politely tell her to send you an email. You see someone struggling to carry a heavy box of printer paper? You walk right past. She didn't request help in writing. The coffee pot is empty? Not your problem. Making coffee isn't in your job description. We are to become ghosts, cogs in the machine. We will do our assigned tasks, and only our assigned tasks. We will be polite. We will be professional. We will be completely and utterly unapproachable. We're not doing this to be jerks, Callahan clarifies. We're doing this for our own protection. She just handed us a rule book that makes us untouchable. If we follow it perfectly, she can never, ever accuse us of anything again. We're just following her direct orders. A slow understanding dawns on everyone's faces. The anger and frustration begin to morph into a cold, determined resolve. This isn't a rebellion. It's an act of collective self-preservation. We're not breaking the rules. We're weaponizing them. We all agree. A silent pact is formed in that stuffy little conference room. The old office is dead. Tomorrow, a new one is born. I go back to my desk and spend the rest of the day in a haze. I watch Veronica walk around, radiating smug self-satisfaction. She thinks she's fixed us. She has no idea what's coming. The next morning, the change is immediate. I walk in at 8:59 a.m. Usually I'd say hello to whoever was around. Today, I walk straight to my desk. I don't look at anyone. I put on my headphones, log into my computer, and start working. I notice the other guys are doing the same. It's like a silent, coordinated ballet. The office, which is usually buzzing with morning chatter, is dead quiet. The only sounds are the clicking of keyboards and the low hum of the servers. Veronica, Livia, and Jada are standing by the coffee machine, talking in low voices. They keep glancing over at us. They look pleased. They think their plan worked. The first test comes around 10 a.m. Jada needs a file from one of the junior guys on our side of the office. Normally, she'd just walk over and ask for it. It would take 10 seconds. Today, she walks over and stands by his desk. He has his headphones on and is staring intently at his screen. He doesn't notice her. She stands there for a solid 30 seconds, looking increasingly awkward. Finally, she clears her throat loudly. He looks up, a neutral expression on his face. He takes off one side of his headphones. Yes? Hi, she says, a little thrown off by his tone. I need the quarterly report file. He nods slowly. Okay. Please send me a formal request via email, and I will add it to my task queue. Then he puts his headphone back on and turns back to his screen. The look on Jada's face is a perfect mix of shock and indignation. She stands there for another few seconds, speechless, then turns on her heel and stomps back to her desk. I can see her furiously typing out an email. A few of us guys exchange subtle, knowing glances over the tops of our monitors. Phase 1 is a success. Later that day, Livia runs into a technical problem. Her computer is lagging, and a piece of software she needs keeps crashing. Normally, she might ask one of us for a quick look before calling the official IT help desk, which is notoriously slow. I see her getting more and more frustrated. She sighs loudly. She reboots her machine twice. No one moves. No one offers to help. We all just keep typing, immersed in our work, following the rules. Finally, with a huff of frustration, she picks up her phone, and I can hear her on the line with the help desk, describing her problem in excruciating detail. She looks over at me once, a flicker of something in her eyes. Annoyance? Disappointment? I can't tell. I just give her a brief, neutral nod and go back to my spreadsheet. I'm not being rude. I am maintaining professional distance. The day crawls by in this new, sterile silence. At 5 p.m. on the dot, something beautiful happens. Every single man in the department stands up, logs off their computer, packs their bag, and walks out the door. No, see you tomorrow. No, have a good night. Just an exodus. We leave Veronica, Livia, and Jada sitting in the silent, empty office. As I walk to my car, I feel a strange sense of peace. This is going to be interesting. The first few days felt like a novelty, a silent protest. By the second week, it had become the new reality. The office was no longer quiet. It was silent. You could hear the hum of the overhead lights. You could hear someone across the room click their mouse. The lack of ambient conversation was deafening. The productivity, which Veronica assumed would skyrocket without all the distracting small talk, started to plummet. A simple question that would have been a 30-second conversation was now a chain of emails with a 2-hour response lag. Projects started to stall. Deadlines were getting pushed. You could almost feel the friction in the air as the gears of our department slowly ground to a halt. Veronica and her crew started to look less smug. Their little victory was turning sour. They had wanted a sterile, professional environment, but they didn't seem to realize how isolating that would be. They had drawn a line in the sand, and now they were the only ones on their side of it. The attempts to bridge the gap started subtly. Jada, who was normally very bubbly, would try to make eye contact and smile at us when we passed in the hall. We'd give a quick professional nod and keep walking, maintaining distance, as per the protocol. Livia tried asking one of the guys about a movie that came out over the weekend. He just gave her a polite blank stare and said, "I'm sorry, I have to get back to this report. If you have a work-related question, please send it to me via email." She looked genuinely hurt. I almost felt bad for a second, but then I remembered the meeting. I remembered being publicly shamed for helping her. The feeling passed. The main event happened on a Wednesday, I think. We all came into the office, and there was a big pink box of donuts on the table in the break room. A little note next to it, written in bubbly handwriting, "Happy Hump Day, V, L, and J." It was a peace offering, a Trojan horse made of sugar and fried dough. In the old days, those donuts would have been gone in an hour. That day, not a single guy went near them. We'd get our coffee and walk right past the box as if it wasn't there. Around lunchtime, Veronica, Livia, and Jada were standing near the break room, watching the untouched box with growing frustration. I heard Veronica whisper, "This is so childish. They're doing this on purpose." Jada said something like, "Maybe they just don't like donuts." Veronica shot her a look. "Everyone likes donuts, Jada." They just didn't get it. We weren't being childish. We were being professional. Social rituals like sharing donuts were not part of our work duties. We were simply following her rules. The donuts sat there all day. By the time we all left at 5 p.m., they were still there, looking sad and stale under the fluorescent lights. The next day, the box was gone. The atmosphere in the office got even colder after that. Veronica's attempts to regain control became more desperate. She sent out a calendar invite for a voluntary midweek team-building lunch. Within 10 minutes, every single man in the department had declined the invitation. Most of us didn't even give a reason, just declined. Callahan, in a stroke of genius, replied to the invitation with a single line, "Thank you for the offer, but my current workload does not allow for non-essential meetings. I will be using my lunch break to ensure my project deadlines are met." He copied our boss, Gideon, on the reply. Checkmate. Veronica had to cancel the lunch. The public humiliation was obvious. She was starting to look stressed. The circles under her eyes were getting darker. Her perfect, ordered world was crumbling, and she couldn't understand why. She had all the power. She had made the rules. Why weren't we behaving the way she wanted? She thought she was the zookeeper, but she had just built a cage around herself. The breaking point came near the end of the month. Our department had a huge quarterly presentation for the company's executive team. Gideon, our boss, was the one presenting, but our team was responsible for compiling all the data and building the slide deck. It was a high-pressure, all-hands-on-deck kind of project. In previous years, this was when our team really shined. We'd stay late, order pizza, collaborate, and knock it out of the park. There was a real sense of camaraderie. This year, it was a disaster. The email-only communication meant that everything took 10 times as long. There was no quick collaboration. No one was bouncing ideas off each other. It was just a bunch of individuals emailing files back and forth in a sterile, joyless process. The day before the presentation, everything fell apart. There was a major error in the final data set. Some of the core numbers were completely wrong, which threw off all the charts and projections. It was a complex problem, a data corruption issue that required deep knowledge of our legacy database systems. There was only one person in the entire department who could fix something like that quickly: Callahan. Veronica was in full-blown panic mode. The presentation was in less than 24 hours. Gideon would have her head if they had to postpone. I saw her rush over to Callahan's desk. Her face was pale. "Callahan, I have an emergency," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "The quarterly data is corrupted. I need you to look at it right now." This was it, the moment of truth. Callahan slowly turned in his chair. He looked at her with a completely calm, neutral expression. "I understand the urgency, Veronica," he said, his voice level. "Please submit a high-priority ticket through the project management software with a detailed description of the problem. I will address it in the order it was received, according to my current task queue." Veronica looked like she was going to explode. "There's no time for a ticket," she practically shrieked. "I need you to fix it now." A few people were starting to look over. Callahan didn't raise his voice. He just looked at her and said, "Veronica, the new protocols are in place to ensure accountability and a respectful work environment. I cannot deviate from them. It would be unprofessional." He used her own words against her. It was brutal. She just stood there, sputtering, completely powerless. She knew he was right. She knew she had no grounds to force him. She had taken away her own authority. She stormed back to her desk, and we could all hear her furiously typing. Callahan got the official notification from the software about 5 minutes later. He looked at it, looked at his existing task list, and calmly started working on the next item on his list. He didn't get to her high-priority ticket until late the next morning. He fixed the problem, of course. He's a professional. But it was too late. Gideon had to go to the executives and postpone the presentation. The fallout was biblical. Gideon was a very old-school boss. He was a quiet, no-nonsense man who valued two things above all else: competence and results. He didn't care about office culture or emotional labor. He cared about hitting targets. And our department had just failed spectacularly on the most important project of the quarter. The next afternoon, Veronica, Livia, and Jada were seen walking into Gideon's office. They were in there for almost an hour. We all knew what was happening. They were going to try and blame us. A few minutes after they left, Gideon's assistant came out and asked for Callahan and me to come to his office. My heart was pounding. This was the end game. We walked in. Gideon was sitting behind his huge oak desk, looking grim. Veronica was there, sitting in a chair off to the side. She wouldn't look at us. She had been crying. Gideon gestured for us to sit. "All right," he started, his voice low and dangerous. "I've just heard a very disturbing report from your team lead." He looked at Veronica. "She tells me that the men in this department have created a hostile and toxic work environment. She tells me you've been engaged in a coordinated campaign of passive aggression and are using silence as a weapon to intimidate your female colleagues." He paused, letting the accusation hang in the air. "She seems to believe this is the reason a critical, multi-million-dollar presentation was delayed, humiliating me and this entire department. So, tell me what's going on." I could feel Veronica staring at us, waiting for us to incriminate ourselves. I looked at Callahan. He was completely calm. He had come prepared. He reached into his leather satchel and pulled out a single sheet of paper. He slid it across the desk to Gideon. "Gideon," he said respectfully, "what you're holding is a printout of an email sent by our team lead, Veronica, a few weeks ago." Gideon picked up the paper and started to read. Callahan continued. "In this email, and the mandatory meeting that followed, we were given a new set of communication protocols. We were explicitly instructed, in writing, to cease all non-work-related communication, to handle all requests through official channels, and to maintain professional distance at all times." He looked Gideon straight in the eye. "We have done exactly that. We have followed our team lead's instructions to the letter. We believed we were being respectful and professional, precisely as we were asked to be." I decided to chime in. "We were told that our previous way of interacting was making our colleagues uncomfortable," I said, my voice steady. "So we stopped. We adapted to the new policy. We have been nothing but professional." Gideon finished reading the email. He put it down on his desk. He looked at Veronica. Her face had gone from tear-streaked and defiant to ashen white. The silence in the room stretched for an eternity. Gideon finally broke it. He looked at Veronica, and his voice was cold as ice. "Let me get this straight," he said. "You implemented a set of rules that actively discourage teamwork, collaboration, and basic human interaction. Then, when your department's performance collapsed as a direct result of these rules, you come crying to me and accuse your team of being hostile for following your rules?" Veronica opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. She looked like a fish out of water. "The quarterly numbers are down 15%, Gideon continued, his voice rising. "My most important presentation of the year was a catastrophic failure, and you're telling me it's because you decided to conduct some kind of social experiment on your own team?" He shook his head in disbelief. "This isn't a university seminar, Veronica. This is a business. We are here to do a job, and you have catastrophically failed at yours." He stood up. "This meeting is over. Callahan, Sam, thank you for the clarification. You're dismissed." We stood up and walked out of the office, not looking back at Veronica. We didn't need to. We had won. The aftermath was swift. Veronica was not fired, but she was demoted. She was stripped of her team lead title. She's still in the department, sitting at a desk in the corner, just another data drone like the rest of us. Her authority is completely gone. No one listens to her. Even Livia and Jada keep their distance from her now. Gideon sent out a department-wide memo the next day. It was short and to the point. It said that the previous communication protocols were rescinded and that all employees were expected to collaborate effectively to achieve business goals. It was a complete reversal. But things didn't go back to the way they were. They couldn't. The trust was gone. The old camaraderie was shattered. We guys are civil. We'll say good morning. We'll answer a direct work question. But the extra stuff is gone. We don't offer help unless asked. We don't make small talk by the coffee machine. The bad jokes from Callahan have stopped. We do our work. We do it well. And at 5 p.m. we leave. The office is more productive now than it was during Veronica's reign, but it's still quiet. It's a place of work, nothing more. The life has been drained out of it. It's not a victory that feels good. Nobody is celebrating. We didn't win a war. We just survived one. We learned a valuable lesson, though. You can't win when they make the rules. You can't win when they can change the rules at any time. The only way to not lose is to stop playing their game altogether. So we did. We just do our jobs now. And in its own weird way, it's peaceful.